Hello everyone, and welcome back to the long-awaited Series 10 of 30 Days of Sketches by Christy's Beautiful Life. Today is day 1, and we have a beautiful sketch by Jessica Michaels. I am, once again delving into my Spectrum Sherbet 49 in Market. I know, you guys know how much I've been struggling, and I have had just the hankering to use this thing up. So I grabbed, when I saw this sketch, I thought immediately of using Spectrum Sherbet, and I wanted to make a couple of cuts with my Cricut, just of some leaves. So I just went and found like a random leaf, and I cut 2 of them out. I cut one large one that will take the place of the large star that's up in the upper right hand corner, and I cut a smaller one for the lower left hand corner. It's the same one, I just sized it, one bigger and one smaller. And here I am. I'm going to go ahead and do a little bit of mixed media on the back of the page, on the background page. On the sketch, it showed like a big part of mixed media in the center of the page. I'm going to do it just a little tiny bit differently. I'm using 4 different colors of Distress Oxide. I held them up for y'all there, but just in case you didn't get them, I am using Carved Pumpkin, Rustic Wilderness, Bundled Sage, and Scattered Straw, and I'm kind of mixing them together to kind of give you that brownish, orangish, yellowish, greenish fall colors. They're up in the corner. I also sprinkled a little bit of TCW Color Sparks powder into it, and it has kind of this cool little effect. This is in the color Sepia. I got this in my cherry box from A Cherry on Top this month, and I just been kind of trying to play with it. And when you sprinkle it on there, it does this cool little effect of all of these different colors. I thought it was just going to come out the brown for Sepia, but it didn't. It came out with like blues and like reds and all kinds of cool little colors in there. Might have just been the way I used it, but I thought it was pretty cool, and I thought it worked well with the fallen leaves idea. So I used some of that. And now after I did the packaging technique with all 4 colors to kind of get a mixture, now I'm going in with just a little bit more. I think that is the Rustic Wilderness, I believe. And then also the Carved Pumpkin. I wanted just a bit more of those green hues and those orange hues throughout this, just like a little bit bigger sections of it, so that we could get a little more of that marbled effect. I know leaves, sometimes they change a couple different colors. Most of the time they're kind of like one, but I kind of wanted all the fall colors inside these fallen leaves here, just to kind of give it, well, it's not all because I don't have the bright reds or anything like that, but just kind of those more muted fall colors. I wanted those. So at this point, I'm splattering to kind of just get another little effect, with these distressed oxides, and with it being wet, it's just kind of like blending in a little bit, but it's giving me more of this kind of speckled egg or marbled effect that I wanted underneath there when I do the splatters as well. So, all right, I'm pretty happy with, I'm going to play around a little bit with the background off camera, not too much. It's not going to change too much from what you guys see here, but I know like a couple of times I did go in and touch up here or there, put a little bit more color here or there, just because once I get my cut file in place, then I'm going to see where I need a little bit of something here and there. So I'm going ahead and I'm mixing these up again for the small leaf. For the section where the small leaf is going to sit, I'm using the exact same colors and that exact same powder. If you can see when I put it on there, it kind of does this speckled, and then you spray it with water, and like it's almost this explosion of color. So I think that's pretty cool. And when I put this down here, the paper down here, you're going to be able to see those speckles just a little bit better on here. I am going to come in. Did I tell y'all that I had already prepared this with clear gesso? I can't remember if I had told you, but if I didn't, the 49 in Market paper, I had already prepared in anticipation of this page with just some clear gesso. I coated the whole thing with it so that if I made a mistake and I didn't like something, I could remove it. So there where I had kind of like that little, that drip that was going down, I didn't like how that looked. So I went ahead and just kind of wiped it up. And you can't even see it now on the page. So with this bottom section, I'm doing the same thing I did on the top, just kind of filling in with a few more colors that I wanted in that area, just so that I could showcase them just a little bit more. And now I'm going to go in, I'm still doing that. I'm going to do the splatters at the end, just like I did with the top one as well. I added a little bit of water there just so I could blend that just a little bit better in that area where I had some of those speckles. I had a few colors that I didn't really want to really have showing a lot on this paper. Mostly it was like this blue. I do put a tiny bit of blue on here, so it does work in the few areas where I have a little bit of a blue hue showing, but I just didn't want like it to be so dark. And there was a couple of spots where there were some speckles of blue that were pretty dark that I was kind of trying to get rid of. So here I'm just going ahead and I'm adding a few more splatters. And this is kind of like the marbled effect that it gets once it's done. So I set that aside to dry for a bit, and now I'm coming in with my cut file. I decided I didn't want to leave it white. It just didn't look right to me on top of this page. So I'm going in with the scattered straw, and I'm just kind of blotting it on there. It was okay if I had a little bit of white showing. That was fine. That was the effect I wanted. And then I went ahead and I rolled over it, as you can see with my paper towel roll, to take up some of the excess and even make it even more like, just kind of like a faded effect on there. And now I'm going to come in with the carved pumpkin, and I'm going to do splatters over it. So I was kind of running out of water there, so I just opened up my little spray bottle and poured it in there. So yeah, I just wanted just touches of orange on here, not much, so I'm going to go ahead and just splatter all over this leaf. And then the same thing, I'm going to dab it up a bit with my paper towel roll so that it's not super dark. I went ahead and did the small leaf off camera just so you didn't have to watch me do the exact same thing again. And now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to place the leaves where I want them on the page. They're in the same spots that the stars were shown on the sketch. And so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to glue these in place. I'm going to glue down the center portions of this big leaf, not a star. I'm gluing down all of like the vein part, I guess that's what you would call it, of the leaf, but I'm going to pop up the outer part of the leaf so that we have a little bit of dimension and some shadow effect around this big leaf, so it doesn't just look flat to the page. So this is me I'm just showing you that I'm adding a bit of the little strips of adhesive foam, and here I'm just going to place it down. It was a little finicky and hard to kind of try to get it to fit right, because I don't know if it was just from putting the gesso on it. It just kind of got a little bit out of shape. And so I had to kind of fiddle with it a little bit to get it to fit right around those veins. But I did get it there, and I'm just gluing down a few little last minute pieces there that I hadn't glued down just because I was wanting to fit everything the way it was supposed to be. So I'm going ahead and just adding that in now. And then off camera, I am going to glue down the little leaf because that was a little finicky as well. And I decided to put the little leaf just completely flat against the paper. So once I finish with this one, you'll see me start to glue the small leaf here, but then you'll get to me putting it in place. So I didn't use any dimension on this one. It's gonna be the part that I would have put up on dimension, which would be the little top part, is going to be underneath my photos anyway. So I just decided I really didn't need the dimension on this bottom one. And so I just kept it up on the top one here. And I know it looks a little funny right now, but once the pictures get down, you're gonna it's going to have that effect of that big spot of mixed media rather than me doing the two areas of mixed media. But my idea, you know, I switched it up just a little bit, is because I wanted the color underneath the cut files more than I wanted it underneath the photos, just because I wanted that feel of the fallen leaves, and I wanted the leaves to have those fall colors in them. So I just kind of switched from doing the big area of mixed media to doing the 2 areas underneath my cut files. Okay, so I'm going ahead and I'm matting my photo in a piece of Carta Bella paper, and this is from the kit Fall Break. I had already used it on a layout not that long ago, and so I just went in and I got the scraps from what I had used before, and I'm just using that one red plaid paper. I was going to maybe use the one that had the leaves on it, but I just didn't want too much taking away from my background, and I wanted a little bit more red because the leaves in my photographs, which I just took yesterday, and it's of my crepe myrtle, and it's the only thing that's changing color right now. I live in Southeast Texas, and so we don't get much color change, but I noticed yesterday that my crepe myrtle was turning, so I took a picture of it, and it's turning red. So I wanted to pull that red from my photo a little more because I don't have red in my background paper. I will add some red ephemera though, so that we can pull that red just a little bit more, but I wanted to showcase that, so I used that red plaid behind the photo. And here I'm just trimming off the edges of the leaves and the leaf cut file that was hanging over the edge of the picture. Or of the page, I'm sorry. All right, so at this point I'm going to go ahead and add some ephemera. I'm using some from Paige Evans and some from Hip Kit Club's Sweater Weather. That was from last fall. That was a kit from last fall, and I just happened to still have some ephemera from that. And so those big leaves right there, those are from Paige Evans. And right now I'm just kind of playing around with placement of them. I'm putting them exactly where they were on the sketch and see how I like it there. Spoiler alert, I am going to end up moving them to a different location just so that it works with what I did with my my layout. I just didn't feel like it works that well, so you'll see where I change it. This is also from Hip Kit Club's Sweater Weather. These are some chipboard phrases, and I'm going to use the one that says Loving the Leaves. It does have a little bit of pink, which I failed to repeat elsewhere in the layout, and I really should have put something. I did have some pink leaves. I just didn't think about putting them on the page. But there is a little bit of pink brought in the title. I don't hate it. I'm fine with it, that it's the only place that there's pink. It doesn't really bother me. All right, so here I'm going to go and I'm going to place these in a place where I feel like it fits better for this layout. And I really like it there rather than up where the sketch had it, just because since I did my mixed media a little bit differently, I want that to stand on its own over there underneath the cut file, so it felt too busy once I had the leaves in the places where they were at on the sketch. So I'm just going to tuck them under opposite corners around my pictures, and I like that. I like how it looks. I think it looks really fallish. It's bringing in those colors that I was getting from that powder that I was sprinkling on there. When you look closely at the layout, you can see those sprinkles, those little bits of color from the powder that are coming through. Mostly I'm getting blues and I'm getting reds from that powder. And so I love that the leaves that I just put on there, the blue ones and the red ones, they're pulling that color out from the background. It's harder to see here on the camera, but it looks really pretty in person. That little leaf that I just took the white border from, that was a Hip Kit one. It had the white borders, whereas the Paige Evans ones did not, so I just wanted it to match, so I just trimmed off the white border. And then I scuff up the leaves because, you know, leaves don't look perfectly straight when they're dried up and they've fallen off from the tree, so I kind of wanted a little bit of that crinkle effect that the leaves get when they fall off the tree. So I just scuffed up the edges of each one of them. And here I'm going to go ahead and just put a little bit of glue to hold these in the positions that I've got them because I like where they're at. I don't want them to move. And I'm going to glue down that bottom one. And then I'm going to come back, and the edges of each one of the flowers, except for that brown one on the back, that brown one is going to stay flat. I'm just going to curl up the edges a little bit so it sticks up some. But underneath all of the rest of the leaves, I will be putting a little bit of foam, as you can see there, just to kind of hold the edges up and show a little bit of shadow there to give us some dimension. Y'all know I love my dimension, and I will put it in wherever I can to make sure things are staying up and looking lively and not just flat to the page. I'm not a flat to the page type of person. And so I'm always putting dimension in. My books are very, very, very thick scrapbooks. All right, so I went ahead and I am placing the title there so that everything is in place, and I love how that looks. I love how it's not really centered to the photos, but it's more like kind of resting on that pile of leaves. I thought that that looked much better than centering it under the photo. So I went ahead and tacked that down. So here I have the sticker sheet from the Cartabella's Fall Break, and I just pulled a little tab out that says Autumn. I went ahead and I stuck that above the photo, and I think in my hand right now I have a sticker that says sweaters, and what I'm doing with that is I am making it into a tab because I felt like I wanted both of those to match each other. So I did change that one into a tab. And now I'm looking at my brand new, just got yesterday, Scrap and Happy Studio Flare. And I think it says Crisp Autumn Day is the name of it. Let me look on my little thing here. Yes, Crisp Autumn Day Flare. And I picked out one that says Crunchy Leaves and another one that says Snuggle Season. And I am going to use both of those canvas flare. I love, love, love the canvas flare. I really like the other flare too, the epoxy flare, but I love these canvas flares. I don't know why. Maybe it's because I'm into vintage. I've always really liked vintage, and the canvas flare feels more vintagey. So I went ahead and used a couple of those. Right now I am placing a couple of wood shapes, and they're from Sustainable Journaling. I got them, I forget where I got them from. I think it was in a kit, and I think it might be a cherry on top, and it might have been last month's kit, but I may be wrong. But I think that's where I got them. And I put a couple of, looks like oak leaves. I tucked them underneath in my little clusters of leaves. So I'm going ahead and I am gluing down my flare because I like where both of those are at. So I'm going to go ahead and get those glued in place. And now I'm looking at the chipboard phrases, and this is from Echo Park and Happy Fall, I believe is the collection. And I'm going to end up taking a couple of pieces of the chipboard from there. Right now I am placing a little wordy bit, and I'm going to put it underneath the title, and it says, "I'm so glad it's fall time." I just needed to get a little bit of foam underneath there because it's going to be sitting partway on the cluster of leaves and partway on the background paper. So I needed a little bit of foam to go under there. So there we go. And I'm going to go ahead and look at this again, and I'm going to pull one more thing from it. And let's see here. There it is. It's a banner, and it says "Falling for You," and it's in that red again. So I'm pulling a little bit more of that red so that the red in my picture pops a little bit more. I'm going to go ahead and put that right there over the top part of the photo. There we go. We are just about done. I really don't have that much more that I'm going to do. This page was a lot of mixed media versus putting a lot of embellishments on it. So at the end here, I am adding a little bit of shimmers, simply just because I wanted some of that sparkle and shine that Shimmers has. The Distress Oxides are gorgeous, and the colors are perfect, but they don't sparkle and they don't shine. So I wanted some of the sparkle and shine, so I'm adding a little bit of, which color did I do? Dandelion Creamies. And so now I have just a little bit of sparkle and shine that when the light hits it just right, you can see going on here. And that, my friends, is it for day 1 of 30 Days of Sketches. This sketch by Jessica Michaels was so much fun, and I love that I was able to do a little fall theme page today. Now that I'm just starting to see some signs of fall. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Please make sure that you search the rest of the playlist. You just can click on the hashtag that I will have in the description, and that will take you to a playlist of everybody who's playing along. I hope to see you all next time. Have a great day. Bye for now.